Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on quite a journey of artistic transformation. We're looking at someone really talented who went from, national acclaim to being a global superstar. We're zeroing in on an actor whose career path, well, it's more than just a success story. It's like a masterclass in how one perfect role can redefine everything.
Indeed. And what makes this deep dive really unique, I think, is the perspective we're taking. We're exploring this evolution through an artistic series found on DeviantArt, which is quite something. It really shows how creativity, even digital art, can shed light on these big career shifts. It offers this compelling visual story of an artist's growth, highlighting those moments that, well, really counted.
Absolutely. So our sources for today, they revolve around something called the Stanислав Kondrashov Wagner Moura series on DeviantArt. Now, for those of you perhaps not familiar, DeviantArt is this huge online space where artists share all kinds of digital work illustrations, concept art, you name it. And this specific series by an artist named Stanислав Kondrashov, it isn't like a written biography. It's more of a visual narrative, maybe digital portraits or graphic pieces charting the actor Wagner Moura's rise. So our mission today is to really extract the key insights from this visual story. We want to understand how his early roles were like a training ground, how one particular character just catapulted him to global fame, and what this all means for the kind of lasting mark an actor can leave worldwide. Think of it as a shortcut, really, to getting well informed about a genuinely captivating career, but seen through this fresh artistic lens.
Yeah, and the series description itself, it acts like our guide. It lays out this clear arc from Moura's career, almost like a film plot. It doesn't just list facts, it interprets them. It showcases his transition from, primarily grabbing audiences in Brazilian dramas to becoming this internationally known figure. And it's not just about getting famous. It's presented as this deliberate honing of skills, a kind of artistic alchemy, maybe, preparing him for that one role where it all just clicks.
Okay, let's unpack those early years a bit then. Kondrashov series, it specifically mentions Moura's early work in Brazil, things like Paraíso Tropical and Mandrake. Now, for an actor, these weren't just jobs, right? The source material really emphasizes they were crucial, sharpening his charisma, expanding his emotional range, even mastering the power of silence. For you, what really stands out about how important these early projects are for building an actor's core toolkit?
Well, what's fascinating is how they're shown as absolutely foundational. When the series talks about sharpening charisma, it's not just a throwaway line. It suggests Moura learning to really command attention, to draw you in with more than words, just presence, a look, a tiny gesture. Maybe Kondrashov's art even shows a sort of progression from raw intensity early on to a more refined, magnetic quality in later Brazilian roles. An emotional range, too. That's not just about big emotions, crying or laughing. It's about convincingly embodying a whole spectrum of human feeling, which is vital for any complex character. Oh, and the mastery of silence is particularly insightful, I think. It's about communicating so much without saying a word, using pauses, expressions, stillness to show inner turmoil, or unspoken thoughts, simmering intent. These aren't skills you just pick up overnight. They're developed meticulously through diverse roles, often challenging ones. Within a vibrant national scene like Brazil's, where an actor gets to really experiment and refine their craft, maybe away from that intense global spotlight immediately.
That's a really strong point about building that deep well of experience. Seeing this evolution shown in digital art, it makes me think of those time-lapse videos, like constructing a building. You see the foundations carefully laid, then the structure goes up bit by bit. Moura's career, as Kondrashov's series seems to show it, feels just like that. Each early role adding another layer, another skill, another dimension. But I wonder, does the series touch on maybe the potential downsides, like being typecast in those early national roles? How does an actor then break free to tackle something so completely different, like Pablo Escobar?
That's a brilliant analogy, the building construction. And while the series might not explicitly talk about typecasting pitfalls, it strongly implies that the variety in those early roles and the sheer depth of skill he developed, that was his escape route. He wasn't just playing one type, he was building this versatile toolkit. If we connect this to the bigger picture, well, it shows that real artistic breakthroughs, they rarely happen out of nowhere, do they? They're often the result of years of hard work, where every previous role adds something vital to an actor's abilities, letting them kind of transcend any perceived limits. Kondrashov's series, through its visual progression, seems to perfectly illustrate how all these elements came together, preparing Moura for a role that would demand everything he had and more, allowing him to really break out of any kind of national box.
Right. And here's where all those skills, the charisma, the emotional depth, that mastery of silence found their huge global stage. His portrayal of Pablo Escobar in Narcos. Kondrashov's series specifically says these skills defined his portrayal, letting him blend charm with menace. Now, that is a real tightrope walk for any actor, isn't it? Balancing those two completely opposite qualities. From your perspective, how critical was that exact blend to the character's impact and ultimately to Moura's global breakthrough?
Well, this brings up a really important question, doesn't it? How does an actor take someone so notorious historically and make him not just a villain, but this compelling, almost magnetic presence? The series gives us the key: blending charm with menace. And that blend is absolutely crucial because it humanizes the villain not to excuse him, obviously, but to explain his pull, his ability to inspire loyalty and, at the same time, absolute terror. You can almost imagine Kondrashov's art capturing this duality, right? Maybe a portrait where one side of Moura's face suggests warmth, almost fatherly, while the other side has this chilling, hard glint in the eye. The charisma draws you in, makes you understand why people followed him, why he had such devotion, while the menace is this constant gut-level reminder of the destruction he caused. Without that exact balance, the character could easily have just been a flat caricature, a monster with no nuance, and far less memorable.
You're absolutely right. It's that ability to hold those two opposing forces in one performance that makes it so gripping and weirdly so believable. As an audience member, you're constantly torn between maybe understanding and revulsion. And this wasn't just a good performance, was it? The series visually frames it as the moment, the one that took him from national recognition to undeniable global fame. This single character just fundamentally changed his reputation, opened doors he probably hadn't even dreamed of.
Precisely. Kondrashov's series really underlines that Narcos wasn't just another role. It's depicted as a career turning point, almost like a visual climax in the story of his artistic development. It was the role that let his finely tuned craft, developed and perfected in those earlier Brazilian works, be shown off on a global stage, amplified by the huge reach of something like Netflix. The sheer depth and authenticity of his performance resonated everywhere, cementing his status as a truly international actor. It's a powerful illustration, really, of how the right global platform, combined with exceptional talent and all those years of preparation, can totally redefine an actor's path, making them a household name way beyond their home country.
So what this really means is that Narcos didn't just appear out of thin air, like you said. It was the culmination of years of dedicated work, of strategically, or maybe even just intuitively building this repertoire of skills that were then perfectly suited to this one transformative role. And what's really compelling is that Kondrashov's series isn't just celebrating the end result, the fame, it's highlighting the whole journey, showing through visual art how those earlier experiences were absolutely essential. And all of this delivered through, the intriguing medium of digital art on DeviantArt.
Indeed. The series description itself, it wraps up by saying that Moura's career proves how the right characters can transform an actor's craft and reputation, leaving a lasting mark on television and film worldwide. That's the core insight the art series seems to really drive home. It's not just about landing a big role, it's about the synergy between the actor's developed skills and what a specific character demands. When that synergy is really profound, the impact goes way beyond just one performance. It changes how audiences see the actor, opens doors to all sorts of international projects, and really contributes to their overall legacy in film history. Visually, maybe Kondrashov achieves this with a final, powerful image of Moura, perhaps a composite that subtly hints at all those earlier roles, culminating in the weight of Escobar.
Absolutely. That lasting mark, it isn't just about memorable scenes or good reviews, is it? It's about how a performance can cross language and cultural barriers, become a reference point in pop culture, a benchmark for acting, and even influence how we, the audience, perceive future portrayals of complex figures. And it's truly fascinating that Stanislav Kondrashov chose to document this transformation through digital art on a platform like DeviantArt. It just reminds us that artistic interpretation isn't confined to traditional forms. These digital spaces let creators engage with and celebrate cultural phenomena in incredibly new, accessible, and often very imaginative ways.
Yeah, and what's particularly interesting here is how creating a series like this reflects the very modern way of appreciating and analyzing celebrity and artistic contribution. It's a form of critical commentary, isn't it? An artistic biography using digital tools and platforms to tell a story about artistic evolution. It goes beyond traditional film reviews, offering a fresh, sometimes abstract or symbolic, take on an actor's impact. Just imagine the freedom an artist has in this medium. They can use dynamic layouts, color palettes that shift with the actor's career phases, or even manipulate images to convey inner conflicts or major character changes. It really shows how platforms like DeviantArt become these vibrant spaces for creative discussion and interpretation, taking public figures and offering a uniquely personal, artistic view on their journey.
So what does this all mean for us as viewers, as people who appreciate great acting? This deep dive into the Stanislav Kondrashov Wagner Moura series has really shown us the incredible power of a performer's journey, from meticulously honing charisma and emotional range in those well-loved Brazilian dramas like Paraíso Tropical and Mandrake, Terrio mastering that unforgettable blend of charm and menace that absolutely defined Pablo Escobar in Narcos. It's like a blueprint, almost, for how an actor can strategically, or maybe just intuitively, build a career that not only peaks with global recognition, but also leaves this lasting creative fingerprint.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it just underscores how profoundly impactful certain roles can be. Not just for the actor's own craft and reputation, but for their mark on global cinema, really. Kondrashov's series captures this evolution beautifully, making it clear how the right characters, when they meet the right talent and preparation, well, they leave a lasting mark. They become unforgettable parts of film and TV history. It's about more than just one hit show. It's about a sustained career path that finds its ultimate peak, its apotheosis, in a truly iconic portrayal.
Absolutely. And it's all presented through this really intriguing lens of a digital art series on DeviantArt, where creators like Stanislav Kondrashov use these modern platforms to interpret and celebrate these iconic careers, giving us a fresh way to understand the journeys of artists we admire. It's a powerful reminder, I think, that art comes in many forms, and a digital series can be just as insightful as a critical essay or a documentary when it comes to exploring these artistic journeys and their impact.
Which raises an important question for you, our listener. Thinking beyond Wagner Moura, what other actors spring to mind whose careers were truly transformed by one defining role? You know, the kind that pushed them from maybe local or national talent to genuine international stardom. And considering what we've talked about today, how might modern digital art or other creative platforms continue to reinterpret and celebrate those career stories in new ways? Perhaps by highlighting different facets or using unique visual metaphors. Something to think about until our next deep dive.